Hey everybody, it's Zach. Welcome back to the Heroverse. And guys, I just got done with Superman and Lois Season 3, Episode 8, titled Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. Guys, this episode is just fantastic. I keep saying that like every episode review I do, but like this show is just fantastic. This season I've been loving, as you guys know. I think, honestly, I would say this is definitely something I never thought, I just can never stop saying this, but something I never thought they were going to do in this season. Oh, it feels so grounded in this season, and, I just really enjoyed this episode. This, of course, is the episode where Nat is meeting Mateo's parents, aka we know by that reveal of last episode that his parents are Bruno and Pia, Mannheim. So I just loved this episode. I was really also theorizing, when is John Henry gonna realize that like Natalie is going out with Bruno's and Pia's kid. I was really looking forward to that like reveal. I did not know if they were gonna wait for a while. Like I didn't want them to like, I didn't want them to like wait a while. I didn't want them to wait a couple of episodes to do that reveal, so I'm super glad that we got that reveal like in this episode. That was a very interesting sequence. That was when like things really started getting like, oh my god, like you felt the tension when like we had that like reveal, and I really thought that was like a key part of this episode. Mind you, this in the beginning of this episode was very hard, as usual. Lois is going through treatments. Lois is getting weaker due to her doing her treatments, and the treatments causing paying a toll on her. So that was just very hard to see that. You see Clark taking Lois to appointments after she's done getting her treatments, coming home, having to carry her upstairs. You see that Lois is getting colder now because she's her body's getting a little bit weaker. And it gets to the point where I'm not quite sure what Clark did. He went out to the barn. I want to believe he got maybe something to like, I don't know if he got something to like make the bed. Like he got like a different part. Like I thought he went to the barn to go get a new, like, I guess an old bed that they had maybe, and then he went to like put it together to make it downstairs, so that way Lois wouldn't, since Lois is a little bit weaker, she might have trouble getting up the steps. I couldn't tell if that's what he was doing. Let me know if you guys know what Clark was doing in the barn earlier in the episode. And I'm not even quite sure what Jordan and Jonathan were doing. They were in Lois's office. It looked like they were just, like, I don't know if they were like cleaning up her office. I don't know what exactly they were doing, but I know Clark got something from the barn. It might have been a dresser, maybe to store her medicine or something. I'm not quite sure. All I know is he got something. It would have made sense if it was a bed to put together in like the living room or in a spare bedroom downstairs, so that way she wouldn't have to walk up the steps. That's what me and my sister thought, but I honestly couldn't tell you what he was doing. All I know is that it's really hard seeing Lois very weak, and and her starting to kind of go down the line. And of course, as Jonathan said in last week's episode, I'm starting to see that you're losing your hair. You know what I mean? It's sad seeing this stuff with Lois, because it's just you don't want that you don't want it for her. You know what I mean? You feel upset. You know what I mean? You feel upset just watching Lois, a character that we all love, go through this, and watching Clark have to watch Lois go through it, and him not being able to do anything about it but just be there. Which, I mean, in some cases that is something, just being there. You know what I mean? As a husband, you know what I mean? Just being there for her. That's, that does wonders. You know what I mean? Even though he can't use his powers to do anything to help her. So just seeing that in the beginning of this episode is always such a challenge. I mean, Elizabeth is just killing it as this character, especially in this season. And you know what I mean? And her just acting is phenomenal. So just, she's just great, and it's really showing, especially in this season. But that's pretty much, while Lois is kind of, having trouble, with, cancer, and we're really seeing how it's paying a toll on her, she really doesn't want to release the story of finding out about Bruno and Pia being married. And, and the result of why he's not taking any, money from, or why he's not getting any money, like, earnings from, from the hospital and stuff. You know what I mean? Where we kind of found out all that information. Clark and Lois found out that information in last week's episode. But now Lois doesn't want to run the story, even though Chrissy's ready to run the story, because, I mean, any insight that will shake anything loose by them releasing that to the public, that Bruno is in fact married to Pia that has cancer, and that explains why he's not taking any money out from that, you know, from his earnings from the hospital. It would also shake some trees where, you know, maybe we would find out, like, maybe does she have any connection? Maybe it would shake something loose, and maybe to, you know, get Bruno put away. They want to release that story, Clark and you know, Chrissy, and also, like, Lois worked on that story. But as we all know, Lois got really close to Pia, and she, in this episode, does not want to release the story, is making up excuses on the fact that she is letting her feelings about Pia get in the way of letting out the story. She doesn't want Pia, someone that's going through cancer, going through beating cancer just as how she is, having to worry about what publicity that will bring about that story going out, and maybe what that would do to her remaining time, or while she is trying to fight cancer, what that will do in her life while she is married to Bruno. She doesn't want to, like, make Pia's life any harder than it is right now, which is understandable. But it's like, but even Clark and Chrissy were like, we can't let that stay. We can't let that, you know, let your feelings for Pia get in the way of the fact that Bruno Mannheim needs to be put away. And this story getting out will do that. You know what I mean? Sometimes, you know, you have to do something like that, something that you might not want to do to put someone this bad away. So it's kind of like, you know, that was very interesting to me, seeing that dynamic of somebody that, you know, from Lois, that's been wanting to put Bruno away for so long. All it took was her getting close to somebody, and this same person, Pia, being on the same level of them both trying to beat cancer, to the point where, like, Lois doesn't want to make Pia's life any harder, no matter what it could shake loose about Bruno and have him being put away. It's like Pia being in a being married to Bruno already puts trouble on that. Also, like, Lois doesn't want to jeopardize, you know, Bruno being put away in the remaining time for how long that Pia will be alive, or while, you know what I mean, or make, you know what I mean, doesn't want to just make any problems for Pia. And I just thought that was a very interesting arc for Lois on how she's, like, wanting to step back and wants nothing to do with that story, doesn't want that story put out, even if it doesn't have her name on it. She's like, that story, I'm part owner of the Gazette, and we're not putting that story out. And you can tell that Clark and Chrissy are annoyed about it, but there's not much they can do about it, other than the fact that I'm glad when Sam came in with a whole box of information about cases that involved Bruno that wasn't released to the public, but the DOD must, I think, have it. Was very interesting when all those files came out, because that got Lois invested in the story again, and invested, and kind of made her realize, I need to put them away. We got to put them away. This will shake loose stuff. There might be another way to kind of, like, do it in a sense, or maybe that kind of, like, it kind of motivated her more to be like, okay, we do need to release this story because of the fact of we didn't have this information before. So it just gets her, like, it gets her to, like, it doesn't, like, because even Sam says that you're kind of acting like that, you know, you're kind of acting like the cancer is, like, beating you. You're kind of acting like that. You're kind of using the cancer as an excuse on why you're not wanting to, like, you know, go through with the story. You know what I mean? You're kind of letting it get to you. And she's like, you're starting to sound like Clark about you're letting the cancer get to you and all that stuff, and you know what I mean, and you're kind of, you know, not following through with the story. And he's like, well, you know, for the first time ever, I can agree that it's not such a bad thing that me and Clark are on the same page, that you can't let you going through cancer and you being connected to Pia get in the way of you getting justice for Bruno, like getting, you know, justice for the people that Bruno has hurt, and putting Bruno behind bars. This is something you've always wanted to do. You got to do it. Now you have all this. It's kind of like, you know, she's energetic again. You mean, it's kind of like she's back to old Lois. You mean, even Lois is kind of acknowledging the fact that I'm kind of back to who I am, and kind of, you know, and just, you know, hungry for, like, you know, my journalism and stuff like that, and being a reporter. So I was just very happy to see Lois like that, and being, you know, thrown back in and be like, you know what, we need to do that, and kind of bringing the papers of all the boxes about that, you know, of cases about Bruno to the Smallville Gazette, where, like, Chrissy and Clark were there. I just thought that was very interesting, just super awesome to have them all work together and have Lois fully, you know, in it to, like, put Bruno away. She's, like, kind of back in it. She, you know what I mean? She kind of needed a pep talk to be thrown back in, saying, I can't use this as an excuse. I can't, you know what I mean, about my connection to Pia and how this could hurt her. Bruno needs to be put away. Simple as that. And kind of just gets thrown back into things, you know, with helping Clark and Chrissy kind of figure out more information about, you know, Bruno and his past doings, trying to put him away. And even in their viewing of the box of information, of all the boxes that they had, they found, you know, Luther's, because there was a whole bunch of, like, murders that, you know, they thought that, you know, that I guess led back, or they thought that, but this is before they had the information from the boxes and stuff, but it turns out like the like the chainsaw, you know, murders or whatever, like, you know what I mean, of like body parts being chopped up and stuff, actually was not from Lex Luthor. They actually were from Bruno. And this is, we ended up finding that out in the information of all the stuff, and it all led back to Bruno, that Bruno was the one that, you know what I mean, they found that Bruno was, you know, connected to the one creature that was, you know, or I guess they found out that, you know, the one creature that has a spiral face, which we all know now is Pia, but they end up finding a connection there of like the body parts being, you know, obliterated and all kind of chopped up and stuff. And they kind of, you know, they kind of were like, oh my God, like I can hear in Luthor's confession, I can hear the noise that creature made, that hitman made, that, you know, that this must mean that Bruno and that person are working together. And that way, and manipulated to make it sound like Lex Luthor was, like, I guess, that way he was saying that he did those crimes, did those murders, but it was, of course, Pia using her voice. It was able to manipulate and make it sound like Luthor, you know, committing to those murders. So they were kind of like, oh my God, like Lex Luthor wasn't behind this. And I kind of put two and two together when like they were kind of like, where they were saying, oh, there's all these, you know, pictures of all these chopped up body parts and stuff, and I was like, oh, they're gonna find out that, you know, Pia was behind all like the chopping up the bodies of stuff, and that or Pia wasn't, but like the spiral face person is connected to Bruno and is working for Bruno and shattering those bodies to make them look like they were chopped up by a chainsaw. And then they're gonna realize that, you know, and then that's why I kind of like got caught on and said, oh my God, when they said, oh, Lex Luthor, committed to those murders, like he came out saying he did those murders. And I thought right then and there, I was like, oh my God, in last week's episode we thought it was Lois, but it ended up being Pia manipulating, making it sound like she was Lois to get Superman to show up. So I was like, oh my God, she set up Lex Luthor. That recording isn't from Lex Luthor. It actually was a setup by that creature and by Bruno to put Lex Luthor away. So this isn't going to be good when Lex Luthor gets out, which makes me super excited when Lex Luthor eventually like gets out of prison. It's because of Lex Luthor's innocence, that he wasn't behind those murders. And actually, you know, I think it will come to light because it'll be in probably Clark, and it'll be in Chrissy and Lois's, you know, in their paper that they're gonna release, that Lex Luthor is actually innocent, and they put Lex Luthor behind bars, even though he's not the one that did those murders, and isn't the one that, you know, it wasn't his voice. He was being, set up. So that's just very interesting that I kind of come on to that, and I was like, oh my God, like this is going to be so interesting when Lex Luthor gets out. Is he going to want to go after Lois and Clark because they're the ones that kind of like put him away in prison when he didn't do it? I think he's going to go after Bruno Mannheim, because I bet you he probably thinks that Bruno knows that Bruno Mannheim is the one that set him up, along with that spiral-faced, you know, person. So that's just going to be very interesting to see what goes down with that, and what like Lex Luthor will do once he gets out. That's just going to be very interesting. But going on in the episode with also like, you know, Jonathan and Jordan. Jonathan officially, you know, is a part of the junior fireman, program, which is very interesting. Like, you know what I mean? He's going to be like, I was really happy for him. I was like, okay, this is good. You know, he gets to save people just like his brother. He found his calling, just like Jordan found his calling to help people. I thought to myself, are they really going to like throw him into like, you know, being a fireman right away though? And I was like, no, it's a program. It should be good. But I remember in the promo, he was at the scene of a fire that happened to be in Smallville. And it ends up being on the same time, because it ends up being in this episode where this happens, where, you know, where like he actually gets thrown in, not to do fireman stuff, but he actually, like, you know, was told by Kyle to stay by the truck. And then that's when Jordan came in, saved someone from the building, dropped him right in front of Jonathan, and then flew away. And then Kyle got upset at Jonathan for being away from the fire truck and thinking Jonathan went into the building, wanting to be a hero, even though he wasn't supposed to do that. Even though Jonathan didn't go in, it was Jordan the one that dropped off that civilian and flew away. And also, it was very interesting because Jordan actually was supposed to hang out with Sarah in this episode. It's cool to see that they're hanging out and they're not letting the awkwardness get to them, the fact they used to date. So I think eventually they'll get back together, but it's just nice to see that they're able to do that. And also the show is not making a big deal out of it. It's just like, okay, they broke up. They can still be friends. It's not a big deal. And it's not like beating around the bush for too long for this season. That the fact that Sarah broke up with him. I'm glad that like they're kind of just friends now. Eventually, I know that they'll most definitely get back together, but I'm glad that's not, like, making things weird. But Jonathan was not okay with the fact that on Jordan's acts of him going in there, him saving that person, him dropping that civilian off in front of Jonathan, made it look like Jonathan was not listening to Kyle, and made it look like Jonathan went into the building to save that civilian, even though Jonathan didn't do that. So Jonathan, being a junior fireman, a part of that program, is at risk. Where like Kyle's like, I can't trust you. I don't know if I'm gonna fire you. Go home. You're done for the day. And pretty much, Jonathan goes to Jordan saying like, oh, why did you show up? You know what I mean? Because you showed up wanting to be Superboy. You put me being a junior fireman at risk or whatever, because Kyle thinks I'm the one that went in there to save that civilian and doesn't know about that there's a superhero flying around and saving people around Smallville. And Jordan, I mean, in reality, it's not fair that Jonathan is yelling at Jordan. I mean, Jordan was just doing the right thing and didn't think that Jonathan was going to get in trouble. I do think, but in reality, I understand where Jonathan is coming from, because he's like I guess in a way, I don't know why in reality, Jonathan should have just stayed by the fire truck, but he saw that Jordan went in there and he wanted to see what Jordan was doing. I do think that mainly it was on Jonathan was a little overreacting on he should have stayed by the fire truck. He didn't have to go forward. But in reality, I mean, it made a little bit of like, it made a little bit of an argument between them. And of course it went to the point where it was like, I was just trying to help. Like Jordan's like, I was just trying to help. This is what I've been training for. He's like, this is what I've been training for. He's like, he's like, I have laser vision. You serve coffees. Like, you know what I mean? And of course that was rude what Jordan said, but in reality, it's like, he is a superhero. He's supposed to do that. He can't not hero because you're afraid that you're going to get in trouble for you not making it look like you didn't listen to Kyle because you didn't stay by the truck. In reality, it's not Jordan's fault. I mean, he is training to be a superhero. It doesn't take away that, I mean, yes, it was rude what, Jordan said, but in reality, he is doing coffee orders. He's not doing any fireman stuff. Like I said, it was rude, but he was right. I mean, in reality, it's like, I feel bad for Jonathan, because Jonathan's like, you're not the only one that, that should be able to save people. You know what I mean? Like, I could do it too. And I understand that I'm glad that Jonathan found something, but in reality, I feel like he's yelling at the wrong person. Jordan just was trying to help. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not his fault that you didn't stay by the truck and you got in trouble by Kyle. If you would stay by the truck, you wouldn't have gotten in trouble. You see what I'm saying? Like, it ends up being like one of those things where it's like, things happened the way it happened, and then that was the result of that. No one knows that there's a superhero around Smallville. And I keep thinking to myself, what would be the worst thing if Smallville knew that there was a superhero helping them? How bad could it be in reality? And no one would know the connection of Jordan being the superhero. The only ones that know that are Lana. I think Lana knows about Jordan, if I'm correct. And, oh yeah, she does. I think so. Yeah, she does. And then also Sarah. Those are the only two people that know. Unless it did get out to the fact of, Kyle, because we end up getting that at the end of this episode where Jonathan ends up finding out from Kyle that they know about a superhero saving people around Smallville, and they were playing like music like, oh my god, this isn't good. In reality, what will Kyle do if he finds out? He's not gonna lead it back to Jordan. Jordan has an outfit that hides his identity now. So in reality, this isn't going to really affect him. The only people it's going to affect is Sarah and Lana, but the fact that Sarah and Lana have no right to tell Kyle about Jordan. So it's bullshit if we're really going to build this up like, oh, Sarah's going to have to lie now to Kyle, when in reality, Sarah's been lying and Lana's been lying to Kyle and Sophie to begin with. So just because he now knows that someone's heroing around Smallville should not put any more pressure on them, the fact of wanting to tell Kyle that Jordan is a superhero and make it lead back and him putting two and two together and be like, oh my god, if Jordan's a superhero and has the same powers as Superman, Clark Kent must be Superman. I mean, it's like, I hope they don't do that, but I feel like that's what's going to end up happening. It's going to be that it's going to cause a problem between Jordan and Sarah again. The fact that Sarah's been like, oh, I can't lie to my dad anymore. He's looking into this too much. I need to tell him that you're Superboy. No, you don't need to do that. And I feel like that's what the show is going to do. It's going to make this a problem again, where it's like, you guys don't get the right to tell that big of a secret. It's not yours to tell. It's theirs to tell you, but you don't get to tell anybody else. Like, that's not cool. Even though I know what that was what season 2 was about. When Lana found out, Lana wanted to tell Sarah, or when, you know what I mean, and all that other crap. Lana made it sound like, oh, like, you're telling me, but how am I supposed to keep this from my family? When it's like, no, like, and he's like, I understand if you gotta tell them, you gotta tell them. But she didn't tell them because she wanted, you know, her family to be safe from that secret. But of course, Sarah found out about the secret. So it all boils down where I don't want it to be like, oh, well, now Kyle's onto a superhero around Smallville, we gotta go tell him now. It's like, no, you don't. It's not yours to tell. I hate that in superhero shows, mainly that they did that in The Flash all the time, where like when someone found out, it was always somebody that told that Barry was the Flash. You know what I mean? I just don't want it to be a situation where like everybody finds out, or everybody tells that Jordan has powers. You know what I mean? Or tell everybody, like, you know what I mean? It's just, because it won't stop at Kyle. I feel like, you know what I mean? I feel like it'll just keep going, and I don't want it to turn into, like, The Flash, where, like, there's a whole bunch of people that know about Jordan being a hero, a whole bunch of people that know about, like, Clark Kent and Superman. That's bullshit. I just hope that we're not going to do that. I don't want Kyle to know. I would prefer it where he doesn't know. You know what I mean? Like, he can know that there's a superhero, but he doesn't need to know that Jordan is Superboy. He doesn't need to know. He doesn't need to know that Clark Kent is Superman. He does not need to know that. But I feel like that's where we're going to go. But other than that, though, what we're doing with, you know, the whole, you know, Nat going to dinner at Bruno Mannheim, I guess, is like his, like, restaurant. I forget what the restaurant is called. But, you know, Nat, you know, getting introduced, you know, or I guess Mateo introducing Nat to, you know, his mother and father, Bruno and Pia. That was very interesting. It felt very like from Natalie's perspective, or Nat's perspective. I felt like in Nat's perspective, I was like, wow, they just seem like such nice people, but we know that they're not. We know that Bruno's not. We know that Pia's not. She's killed people. Bruno's killed people. Bruno's outright killed people for Pia to keep Pia alive. You know what I mean? It's like, they're not innocent. They need to be put away. And I was really wondering, oh my god, like, when the hell is John gonna find out that, you know, that Nat is dating, you know, Bruno Mannheim's son, Mateo? Like, when is he gonna find out? He found out in this episode. He found out at the end of this episode, where he's actually with his sister. And his sister said, like, when he says, oh, like, yeah, like, Nat is, you know, meeting her boyfriend's parents today at this restaurant, and puts two and two together, like, Bruno Mannheim, or my brother went to that restaurant to meet up with Bruno Mannheim. That's his spot. And he put two and two together, like, oh my god, Nat is dating Bruno Mannheim's kid. And oh my god, when he showed up, John, oh, there was hell to pay. That was a really intense sequence. It was uncalled for that Bruno literally told his dudes to pull out guns in front of it, one in front of his son, and two in front of John's daughter. That was uncalled for. You know what I mean? You didn't have to do that. He was just getting ready to tell Nat to leave. I think that's what he was getting ready to do. And it was also uncalled for that he just told them that he told his guards to take the kids outside so he can beat up John Henry. Thank God. I was like, call your suit, bro. Like, why? For instance, I don't know why he didn't call his suit to begin with and rush in there with his suit. That would have made more sense. I found it a little bit weird he went without his suit when he found out from his sister that was Bruno Mannheim's spot. It's like, no, bro, you should have brought your suit. And it was a little delayed, of course, when he got punched a couple of times before he called his suit. But it was really cool when, like, he did call his suit. And then, of course, Clark heard that same noise that he heard on the recording of so-called Lex. Committing to those murders those murders, when in reality we know it was Pia. So it was that moment where, like, Clark showed up, Superman flew in there, and ended up seeing Pia screaming and trying to kill John in his steel suit. You know what I mean? But it got to the point where, like, Pia was, like, screaming too hard, and even Bruno saw that, oh my god, like, you're using your powers too much. And I guess that the more she uses her powers, I guess the more the cancer spreads, from my understanding. And it got to the point where she collapsed. And at that point, you know, Clark's like, I gotta go take her. Like, you know, Superman's like, told Bruno, I gotta go take her. She's gonna die. Like, you know what I mean? Like, she's, you know, I gotta take her. And of course he said, yeah. And he took her to the DOD, and didn't take her to the hospital. But, you know, Bruno told John, saying, get out of here. and then he flew, of course, away with Nat. And I feel like at that moment, Mateo saw who his mother and father truly are. Mainly his like father. He didn't see his mother use her powers, like Pia use her powers, but he saw how Bruno told his guards to pull out guns on Nat's father, told the kids to leave, and so that way he could hurt Nat's father, and also saw all that stuff go down. And he thinks that Bruno is a monster now. He sees the true face of Bruno, his own father. So it's one of those things where it's like when John told Nat, like, I need your phone, and you can never see him again. I understand where John Henry is coming from, because it's like you can't see him again because he's connected to Bruno. He might not have done anything, but he's associated with that man, and that man's a monster. You know what I mean? Like, he's bad. Like, you can't put yourself at risk like that. You being involved with him where you could get hurt. No, like, it can't happen. And I feel bad for Nat because, again, Mateo is not a bad dude, but he has, what his father's doings are does not represent who Mateo is, on what his father did. It shouldn't fall on what Bruno did should not fall on Mateo. You know what I mean? It's not fair. But in reality, it's like star-crossed lovers now, where John said, I forbid you to ever see him, give me your phone. And Mateo, I feel like he won't let that stand in his way, because he'll probably be like, I'm not my father. I could just see him wanting to prove that to John, like, I'm not my father. I didn't know he was like that. I love your daughter. Simple as that. I feel like this isn't done. I feel like, of course, Nat is gonna go behind John's back and try to sneak and go see Mateo. They'll probably sneak and try to go see each other. And I feel like things are about to get a lot worse, because now that Pia is at the DOD under lock and key, and she has a power dampener on, and he even tells Clark, saying that I put the power dampener on, that should keep her from hurting anybody. And even Clark's like, is that a little extreme? And he's like, no, because she tried killing me. And I feel like that deserves the extreme, that she needs, that she can't have her powers when she's trying to kill people. And he's like, don't forget, they're bad people. Bruno is bad and she is bad. Like, let's not forget that. And I feel like Clark, in a way, is kind of going to, like, how Lois was. Like, you know what I mean? I feel like he's kind of thinking how Lois was in the beginning, like, how Lois didn't want to publish the article because, Lois didn't want to, like, hurt Pia and have, and kind of, like, didn't want to do that. And now I feel like Clark is understanding, like, Pia has cancer, and we don't know how long she's going to live, and we can't keep her here because, we don't know how much time that, Bruno has with her, and, you know what I mean? You're keeping, his loved one away from him. You know what I mean? I feel like he's kind of like, is this extreme that, because, John wants to keep her there regardless if she has cancer or not. You know what I mean? She's tried killing people, and she tried killing him. He's not accounting for the fact that she has cancer. He's accounting for the fact that she's bad. She needs to be put away. He's thinking from that perspective, but Clark is thinking, like, she has cancer. I don't know how long she's gonna live for, and Bruno loves her, and we can't. I know she did some stuff that's bad, but we can't keep her from Bruno for that short amount of time. That's not fair. That's not okay. I'm not on Clark's side on that. Pia needs to be locked up. She was killing people. She tried killing him. I'm not agreeing with Clark on this one. I understand that, it is one of those decisions, is one of those things where it's like, like, Clark is so nice and is seeing from, like, is kind of it feels like he's going into Bruno's shoes. Like, what if someone took Lois away from me when, like, and she has cancer, you know what I mean? Because, mind you, like, he's in that same position as Bruno. Like, both of their wives have cancer, and he's thinking, what if someone took Lois away from me and she died and I didn't get to say goodbye? He's thinking from that perspective. Well, John's not thinking about that. He's thinking she's a murderer. I don't care if she got, like, I mean, it's sad that she's got cancer and stuff like that, but, like, no, like, she's being put away. That's going to be very interesting going into the next episode, which I'm excited to watch the promo, because that's a lot what I'm talking about is what we're going to be getting in the promo. They ended this episode, of course, with Bizarro being back, officially waking back up, which is very interesting to me. I don't know if this Bizarro is going to be so helpful. I think the experiments that they did on Bizarro's body, will probably make that version of Superman want to go after this version of Superman again. I feel like maybe he will officially be like a villain again, because as we know, he was trying to help against Ali Alston in season 2. He was trying to help. So it kind of makes me wonder, is this going to be, does he still have the same mind of him wanting to help Clark? Like, is he still gonna go in with that same mindset? Yeah, he was willing to kill people, but yeah, he was trying to save that world. You know what I mean? If that makes any sense. So that's gonna be very interesting to me to see how that will go. Like, that Superman waking up, what does that have to do? Like, what does that mean? Will this Bizarro Superman want to go after this Superman? Like, I don't know what Bizarro is playing again. Like, what part he's playing in the season again. Other than the fact I'm really excited because we know that, like, Clark and Lois are gonna have to retract the fact that Lex Luthor, it was set up and he did not commit those murders. It was actually Pia and it was actually Bruno. They're gonna, and I think I'm already saying that's how Luthor gets out, because we know eventually he gets out. And it's because of the fact they find out that they put away the wrong person. It was never Lex that killed those people. It was actually Pia and Bruno. So I'm just excited to see how much of a villain Lex is going to be. I mean, even though we all know how much of a villain Lex Luthor can be, but I'm just excited to see that the fact that when he finds out that, like, they put him, like, he's gonna want payback. He's gonna want payback on Lois and want payback on Clark because they put him away for no reason. He's gonna want payback on Bruno. He's gonna want payback on Pia. He's gonna want payback, and I'm excited to see where that will go. Again, I'm not excited for. I'm not really. I don't know. I'm not a fan of the person that is playing Lex Luthor. I feel like that is the odd casting, but you never know. Maybe that person will surprise me. And it should just be very interesting. I'm hoping you can really bring it to bring that character Lex Luthor to life, because we've had a little bit. We haven't had the best run of Lex Luthors. Like, let's be real. Personally, my favorite Lex Luthor has to be from Superman Returns. I know people might not like that Lex Luthor, but I like that Lex Luthor. And that's pretty much about it. Honestly, quite honestly, I need a good Lex Luthor, and I'm excited to see if this dude will do it, because we've had some stinkers when it comes to Lex Luthor. I feel like we've had terrible interpretations of Lex Luthor. I'm really hoping this dude can bring it. I bet you he can, because like I said, they've been spot on with a lot of casting on the show with great actors and stuff. So I feel like they thought this dude would be a good Lex Luthor. He probably is going to be a good Lex Luthor, but we'll have to just wait and see until we get that episode, which I'm not sure when we're going to get the episode where Lex will come into the fold. I'm thinking it'll probably be the episode after next week's episode. You never know. It's crazy to think, because my sister saw that this episode was trending on Twitter, and I guess it got confirmed to the point where it said we might be getting one more season of Superman and Lois, which is very sad when you think about it. I understand that we're getting Superman Legacy. James Gunn's going to be, directing Superman Legacy and writing the script. If I'm pretty sure he's writing the script and directing Superman Legacy. I'm super excited about that movie, especially after Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. It makes me just fully have faith in that movie. I think it's going to be a great movie. I'm super excited. But I am annoyed because I keep thinking to myself, we're having an Elseworlds, the Batman trilogy with Matt Reeves. We're having an Elseworlds Joker with Joaquin Phoenix. Why don't we just keep this an Elseworld project? This show does not need to end. Like, I mean, again, fine. CW wants to cut all there's a word for it, all scripted shows, and apparently they want to go like reality television. They want to do reality television on the CW now, which is weird. That's why they're killing all these scripted shows, which is stupid. So I don't understand. It's like, take the show, put it on HBO Max. There's no excuse. You have Elseworlds, make this an Elseworlds. People love this show. Keep it. This is peak. Keep the show. Let it run for maybe a couple more seasons. Let it run for maybe 3 more seasons. I don't know. 1 more season, it's kind of bullshit to me. It's like, I mean, I'm glad, I'm good, I'm happy in general that I hope that we'd even be getting a season 4, but I could see it going for maybe 2 more seasons at least. Same with Stargirl. I'm still annoyed at them for that. Like, again, there's no excuse why you couldn't take that and put it on HBO Max. There's just no excuse. I just feel like, you can only say it's CW's fault for so much, when it's in reality, it's still a DC project. They could take it. They could buy it back, or they could get it back. See what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if CW bought those rights to those shows. I don't know how that all works. Or maybe it was through DC that they put them on the CW. Take them back and put them on HBO Max. I just feel like this show has so much life to it and is so good, and it's at the peak of the fandom that a lot of, especially for this character that a lot of the people are divided on, because we've had a couple of not the greatest interpretations of Superman, and just in the world of Superman, where it feels like it's so good that we're all like kind of in the agreement of like, Tyler's a really great Superman, the show's really great, and Elizabeth is a great Lois. Just keep the show. Like, I don't understand that. Like, guys, make that make sense to me. Like, I don't understand it. Like, take it to HBO Max. DC owns HBO Max. Or, no, DC doesn't, or maybe DC doesn't own HBO Max. I guess WB owns HBO Max. Whatever. It's like, and WB owns DC. I don't understand the problem here where it's like, just put it on HBO Max. Make it Elseworlds. You don't gotta connect it to the, greater universe unless you're gonna do some, like, big multiverse movie down the line and you want to bring Tyler Superman back, which at least I hope so. If let's say, for instance, they do end it after season 4, I expect in a multiverse storyline or a crisis storyline that we'll have Tyler Superman on the big screen. I'm hoping. Fingers crossed, because there's no reason, because he is big screen worthy. I would love to see this dude on the big screen as Superman. That'd be fire. I don't care what anybody else says. I mean, people could say that he doesn't look like Superman. Bro looks like Superman. He's badass. He's the best Superman we've ever had. And if you know the character of Superman, this is Superman. You know what I mean? This is Clark Kent. I've not seen somebody that's been able to do both in a very long time. The only one I can think of is Tom Welling. We didn't really get to see really him as Superman per se, but Tom Welling and Brandon Routh. And also, of course, Christopher Reeves. Those are the best interpretations of Clark Kent and Superman. And that's just facts. You know what I mean? It's facts. You know what I mean? It's just, that's my personal opinion. I mean, it's just a shocker to me that, like, they're thinking about just giving the show one more season. It's whack, in my personal opinion. But this episode was just a really good episode. And also Lana also having that, like, having, a conversation with Sam, that Sam was was about to go on his first date after his marriage, after his marriage ended years back. And his wife left, and of course he didn't make it in time to go to to the diner. He didn't make it in time. The girl wrote him a note saying next time be on time, and he ran into Lana, and Lana was looking for someone to go to like a concert with, to see this band that her and Kyle used to love, or they still love, or like a band that that her and Kyle her and Kyle love. And they got these tickets while they were still together, where they were still married, and, she's wondering who she's going to go with. She asked Sarah. Sarah says no, because Sarah doesn't know who they are, and Sarah had plans to hang out with Jordan. She asked, of course, Clark if he wants to take, Lois. Lois can't go, and Clark can't go because Clark is, focused on being there for Lois, because, she's, she's having a rough time with her treatments. And, she asks, of course, Chrissy if she wants to go. Chrissy says, I can't. I'm busy with the whole story and how, Lois doesn't want me, posting the story. So it was just a really nice moment where, like, Sam and Lana were kind of, had something in common. They had something in common where it's like Sam waited all these years and now it's really hard for him to, like, kind of get back out there. And saying to Lana, you don't want to wait like me. You don't want to be like me and wait all these years and you're having a hard time to get back out there. Just get back out there. You know what I mean? And of course she missed the concert, but of course it was really nice that Sarah and Lana were like dancing around the living room, having a fun time, having their own version of a concert. I thought that was cool. But also kind of like Sam says, get back out there, meaning that I feel like pretty soon we will see Lana possibly ask out John Henry, if not vice versa. And really see her kind of open her eyes to the fact and the possibility of like, oh my God, like, I like John. I should give this a shot. You know what I mean? What do I have to lose? So I feel like definitely, I would like to see that for John Henry as well. See him like he always sees Nat kind of being a teenager. I would like to see John, be, a dude just wanting to go out and have a date. You know what I mean? I want to see him do that and not have to focus on saving the world or have to focus on, being closed off from kind of, opening his heart again after his Lois died on his Earth. You know what I mean? It's, he's kind of been closed off ever since his Lois died. So I'm excited to see him kind of get, open his heart again and kind of see what's right in front of him and see that Lana is right in front of him. So I feel like, we're kind of starting to see that, and hopefully that we'll start to see them like go out pretty soon. I think that's going to happen before the end of the season. I could see them, going out or whatever, whether it be like, I could see it possibly happening in the finale where it's like a cookout and he says, oh, would you want to go on a date sometime? Or she says, you want to go on a date or something? I could just see it where they like wait to do that until like the last episode, but you never know. Maybe it'll be something that happens in the next couple of episodes, because I know the last episode of Superman and Lois, I think, is sometime in June. I think it's like the 29th or 28th. I'm not quite sure if I think it's like the 28th. I'm actually going to check that out. Yeah, it's June 27th. I was a little bit off, but it's June 27th. Is the last episode of Superman and Lois season 3. But like I said, guys, I just want the show to continue. I'm loving this season. I really enjoyed this episode, and I'm really enjoying that we really don't know where they're going with, like, will Lois beat cancer? We really don't know really where this story is going. Like, what like, where does Lex play into all this? Like, what is Lex gonna do when he gets out of prison? Where does Bizarro fit into this? Like, is he gonna want to go after Superman again? What's even, like, Bruno using Bizarro for? These are just questions I have. But without further ado, we're actually gonna watch, like I said, the promo for episode 9 next week. We're gonna watch that promo. I'm gonna get my headset on, guys. As always, let me know if the volume is good. Let me know, because that's always important to me. I don't want to be like, ruining people's eardrums and stuff. So definitely let me know if, like, it sounds good. But without further ado, we're gonna get into this, and we're gonna get into it right about now. I'm telling you, he said you're keeping your husband from his dying wife, which, like I said, guys, I don't see that going very well for Clark and John's relationship. How they have, I feel like that kind of will put them at odds again. I kind of saw that when, like, he said, you know what I mean, like, he said, is that necessary about having the power, like, having the restraints on her and have the power dampening on Pia? And he said, she tried killing me. And, you know what I mean? And they remind you that they're bad people. So it's kind of like he's seeing from the perspective, like, they're bad. It doesn't matter that, she's going through cancer. She's bad. Bruno is bad. It doesn't matter that, you're seeing the good in Bruno, but it doesn't matter. Bruno needs to be put away. He's not seeing the bigger picture, I feel like, John right now. He's only seeing that they're bad, but Clark is seeing the good and seeing the humanity between Bruno, about Bruno being separated from his dying wife, saying how that's not okay. Bruno is bad and Pia is bad, but they shouldn't be separated at a time like this when it could be the end for his wife, and him might not being able to say goodbye. That's not right. That's what I love about the character of Superman, because he sees the humanity in the worst of his villains. He sees it. He sees it. He doesn't want to think that everybody's all bad. He sees it, and that's what I love about this character. I love Superman. Superman has always been my favorite character from DC. He's always been my favorite. I grew up with Superman, and that's why I'm so passionate about this show. That's why I'm always so happy about this show, because it's the best interpretation of Superman. This show does it so well. Tyler does it so well. Elizabeth does it so well with her portrayal of Lois Lane. I mean, this show is chef's kiss. I mean, this is everything I wanted and more from me being a Superman fan. It just makes me very happy. That's why I'm just so passionate about the show, and I always, praise this show. It's great. It's definitely the best show running on on CW. But like, even that was even while Stargirl was going on. Those were the two best superhero shows going on the CW, and I definitely think that it's definitely still, this is the only best superhero show on the CW right now, because Stargirl's gone now. So it's one of those things where it's like, once this is gone, it's like, I don't know what the hell the CW is gonna do, because, like, no one's gonna be like wanting to watch the CW once the show's gone. Flash is ending for the people that for the people that have only stayed around to watch the Flash. That's ending, so people are gonna want to leave. If they don't watch this show and that's the only show that they watch, they're gonna want to leave. It's like a whole bunch of shows are leaving, and I'm telling you, like, rip the CW. I mean, CW is messing up big time, in my personal opinion. Getting rid of all these shows, it's like, nah, bro. Like, prepare for, like, you to have no ratings. Like, no, like, I'm talking no channel's gonna, like, flop. I'm telling you, but which is sad, because it's built up such a great credibility throughout the years, and then it started plummeting when they, like, screwed over the Flash show and made it terrible, and a whole bunch of other different things. But, like, it's just, I'm really hoping the show gets picked up by HBO Max. I'm really hoping that someone can, like, get to James Gunn and be like, yo, James, you gotta keep this show, take it to HBO Max, you know what I mean, making an Elseworlds thing. Don't get rid of this show. I mean, I'm shocked that James does not see what we're seeing about this show. Guys, like, share this video to James Gunn. Like, share it. But, like, you know what I mean? Like, this dude's passionate about Superman and Lois, and he's saying, like, there's no reason that this show should have one more season, and there's no reason that the show should be canceled. It should be put up on HBO Max. Make it Elseworlds. Bring back Stargirl. Like, people loved these shows. Especially for, like, Stargirl was heavily underrated. Not many people knew about how good Stargirl was. Stargirl was peak. Had the best fight sequences I've seen in a very long time on the CW. I'm talking back when, like, in Arrow days, peak fight sequences. So if you guys haven't watched Stargirl, go give that a watch too. And go show some love, because it's a shame that the season only went on for like 3 seasons. It's very upsetting. It is very upsetting. But yeah, guys, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below about, you know, this episode. Did you like this episode? Did you not like this episode? Where do you guys think this is going to go? Where do you guys think Bizarro fits in all this? Where do you guys think that Luthor's going to fit into all this? Do you guys think Luthor's going to want to go after, like, Clark, Lois, and also go after, like, Pia and go after, like, Bruno? I feel like Luthor is like we'll go to, like, we'll stoop that low to, like, go after, like, Mateo. I feel, to get revenge back on Bruno and Pia. I feel like he would totally go after, like, Bruno's kid. I feel like he would totally do it. But we'll just have to wait and see what his, like, Luthor's goal will be once he gets out of prison. It should be very interesting. It should be very interesting to just see where they end the season. Like, I'm really hoping that Lois doesn't die off. That would be so shocking to me if they do that, especially if it's getting a season 4. It would just be very, very shocking. But I'm really curious to know, like, what you guys thought about this episode. Like, let me know down in the comments below, and let me know how you've been liking this season so far. Again, here, if you're new to the channel, subscribe to the channel, put in notifications, like this video. I would love to have you guys here, part of the family, part of the channel. We're all about spreading love, positivity, and motivation. And guys, we're almost to 700 subscribers. Right now, we're at, I want to say, 600, and I want to say 61. I think, if I'm correct. Yeah, we're at 600. No, we're at 600. And no, where are we? 600, and I think we're at, I don't know, or 691. I think we're at 691. Yeah, like 691 if I'm correct. We're almost to 700 subscribers. And I would just love it again. Like, that is the goal, guys. If you love Superman and Lois just as much as I do, or you come across this channel and you see anything you happen to love on this channel, it really means a lot to me when you guys subscribe to the channel, because it helps me achieve my dreams. My goal is to get this channel to 1,000 subscribers by the end of this year, and my goal as of right now is to get to 700 subscribers. Hell, if we could get to like 800 or 900 off this one video, that would be freaking amazing. And it's just, I really appreciate it also when you guys like the video and share my videos. It really helps this channel grow. Guys, share this review to the cast. Share it, like, at the CW on Twitter, at the Superman and Lois, you know, on Twitter. Hashtag Superman and Lois, and share this on Twitter. I would love if you guys could share this video. It would mean a lot to me, because it would get a lot more people to, like, want to come and join this fam here on the channel. You know what I mean? I'm just a kid on here, you know, pretty much, you know, spreading love for the things I love. And you know what I mean? I'm just, you know, a fanboy at heart. And I'm just talking about things that I love at the end of the day, and I love when we all can get together and talk about things that we love. It's great, honestly. It's the highlight of my day when we can all talk about things that we love, and it's really a highlight when you guys spread my message of spreading love, positivity, and motivation. I mean, that is literally the motto I live by, and you know what I mean. And the motto I live by also is that, you know, you can follow your dreams, and I'm trying to follow my dreams. And if you happen to, kind of, be in the same wheelhouse of dreams that I have set about when to, like, make it big on YouTube, or, like, let me know, like, you know what I mean? Let me know, because I'm all about also helping other channels grow and stuff. So, again, definitely, if you're new here, subscribe to the channel, put in those notifications, and like this video. But, guys, as always, that was the video. I hope everybody has a great day, a safe day, and I'll see you guys next Tuesday for episode 9 of Superman and Lois, Season 3. Peace.